This is 5.5, day 1. We're going to focus today on the double angle formulas. This slide you don't need to write down. The formulas are already on your gold formula sheet. Notice the double angles. This is the sine of 2u. So whenever you see that in equation, you can replace it with 2 sine of u cosine of u. And then the cosine of 2u has 3 different choices, depending on what equation you have. And then the tangent of u is 2 tangent of u divided by the quantity of 1 minus tangent squared of u. All right, let's go on to our first example. We give you a right triangle, and the triangle has an unknown angle x, and we want you to find some values for the sine of x, the tangent of x, and then some of the double angles. These are just the formulas over here in the box. You don't need to write them down. So please go ahead and draw this picture. And then to review with you, this is side opposite to angle x. This is side hypotenuse to angle x. And then this is side adjacent. So what we've given you is 2 out of the 3 sides for this right triangle. So before we begin, let's go ahead and find out what is the distance of that hypotenuse. So if you remember the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, let's go ahead and find this value for y. So to set up the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is our hypotenuse. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 5, 25, equals y squared. Combine my terms on the left, 26 equals y squared. So y equals the square root of 26, square rooting both sides. So now let's come back up here and simplify that. Now let's go ahead and find the sine of x. This is going back to chapter 4. How you find the sine of x, if you remember from right triangle trig. Sine is so opposite over hypotenuse. So if we look at our right triangle here, opposite is 1, and the hypotenuse is square root of 26. 1 over the square root of 26. Remember, we don't want you to leave a denominator with a radical, so we rationalize it. So we multiply the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 26. Now let's go ahead and multiply across. 1 times the square root of 26 is square root of 26. And then square root of 26 times the square root of 26 is 26. Now let's go on to the tangent of x. From chapter 4. The tangent of x is found by opposite over adjacent. Well, opposite is a length of 1. Adjacent was 5. Now we're going on to the new part. In this next piece, we want to find the cosine of 2x, the double angle. So we can't do that as it is right now. We can't just go ahead and find the cosine of x and then, square it or anything like that. So we're going to go up to this formula piece, and we can choose any of these 3 equations. We can choose cosine squared of u minus sine squared of u. We can choose 2 cosine squared of u minus 1, or 1 minus sine squared of u. Well, I'm going to go ahead and choose this middle one. 2 cosine squared of u minus 1. 2 cosine squared of x minus 1. So what this means is take 2 times the cosine of x minus 1. Can we find the cosine of x? Yes. Remember, the cosine of x is adjacent over hypotenuse. The cosine of x is adjacent over hypotenuse. So remember, adjacent is 5, and the hypotenuse is square root of 26. So now let's go ahead and substitute what the cosine of x is into this green equation. So 2 times the cosine of x times the cosine of x minus 1. Now, well, that's a square root of 5 here, shouldn't be there. Now let's multiply across. I'm going to put a 1 in the denominator of that 2. So 2 times 5 is 50. And then square root of 26 times square root of 26 is 26. And then minus 1. Now let's combine those two terms together. So I'm going to change that 1 to 26 over 26. Now 50 minus 26 is 24 over 26. And then reduce that one more time. Split it in half, 12 over 13. The next question says, find the sine of 2x. So now we go to our formula sheet. We find the sine of the double angle. Well, that's right up here on the top. 2 sine of u, cosine of u. So we're going to replace that sine of 2x with 2 sine of x, cosine of x. 2 sine of x, cosine of x. Well, the sine of x we already found. The sine of x up here was 1 over the square root of 26, or square root of 26 over 26. So 1 over the square root of 26. I'm just going to leave it without it being rationalized. And then the cosine of x is just right above here. 5 over the square root of 26. And now let's multiply across. So I'm going to put a 1 underneath that denominator of 2. So 2 times 1 times 5 is 10. And then in the denominator, 1 times square root of 26 times square root of 26 is 26. And then we reduce that down. 10 divided by 26 is 5/13. Let's go ahead and do the tangent of 2x. Well, the tangent of 2x, keep getting these smart notes here. The formula for the tangent of 2x is 2 tangent of u over 1 minus tangent squared of u. So we're going to go ahead and replace that. And we want to use this tangent of x that we found right here in the red. 1/5. So I'm just going to off to the side here remember that the tangent of x that we found is 1/5. Now let's go ahead and write the formula. So 2 tangent of x can be replaced with 2 tangent of x over 1 minus tangent squared of x. So now this 1/5 is going to replace with each tangent of x in that equation. So we have 2 times 1/5 over 1 minus 1/5 squared, because there's 2 tangent of x's there, tangent squared of x. So now we multiply across 2 over 5, and then the denominator 1 minus, and then 1/5 times 1/5 is 1/25. Now I'm going to clean up that denominator. 2 over 5 stays the same. And then I have 25 over 25. And then 1 over 25. 2 over 5 divided by 25 25ths minus 1 25th is 24 25ths. Now we need to keep the top fraction, change it to multiplication, and reciprocate. And we have some reducing to do. We can reduce these 5s by 5, so this is a 1 and a 5. We're going to do this by 2. This becomes a 1 and a 12. Now multiply across. 5 twelfths is my answer there. Okay, one question left. The secant of 2x. All that is 1 over the cosine of the double angle of cosine of 2x. So if we go back up into our cosine of 2x, which was 12/13 right here, we just have to go 1 over 12/13. 1 over 12/13, or just reciprocate it, 13/12. I'm going to stop the recording there.